G'day guys, welcome back to the farm on Farming Simulator 22, the Start From Scratch series on Haut-Beyleron. So it's January right now, and just taking a look at all of what we need to do. So the cows need to be fed at some point. The chickens are looking like they can survive for a little while. Lettuce is best to sell pretty much around now, and we got plenty of lettuce stacked up here, so we'll get that sold today. I know the price says February, but it is what it is. And over here at the production for the fabric, we've got quite a few pallets gathered up here. So at some point, I just need to earn a little bit of extra money, and then we can build the tailor shop and we can start producing that into clothing. And that'll be a real boost for the farm that will pretty much guarantee good money from us for the future now. Be a good steady income. That's going to be really the way forward for us. So we've got heaps of pallets here to move, so we'll do this with the telehandler. I haven't got a forklift up here yet, but I will invest in one eventually once we get the clothing factory going, and then that way we can leave the telehandler. I really wanted to leave this as something that we use just for the cows, for making feed mixes really, but yeah, like I said, we don't have a forklift, so we're going to make the most of what we do have, and this is probably going to be the quickest and easiest way for me to do the loading of these pallets. So we've got 2 greenhouses worth of lettuce to get loaded up here, so I think that will be pretty much a full trailer. So I'll get on with that, and then we'll head on down to the store and we'll get it sold. Alright, just down to the last couple of pallets at this greenhouse, and then we've got to still go and load up the other one, but I don't want to put too much of one thing into the video, because I'll probably time-lapse this loading that I've just done here, but I don't want to make a 5-minute time-lapse of me loading lettuce, so we'll just get on with it, and I'll just cut the rest of it out, and I'll bring you back in when we're ready to head on down to the store. So we'll just chuck some straps onto this and we'll go over there and finish loading up, and we should hopefully get around about 20,000, maybe a little bit more, when we go down to the shop to sell this. Alright, we're fully loaded, ready to head on down to the store. Let's see how much we've got on the trailer. 17,000 litres, so that is quite a decent amount of cash there for us. It's a good guaranteed money, and it's very little work really, apart from loading it up and putting water into the greenhouse. So I think this area here, that's where I'm going to put the clothing factory when the time comes. We just need some money. Okay, so here we are down to the store, pretty much here now. See if we can try and get this trailer into the sale point so that everything gets sold in one go, and then we get just one income. Makes it easier for letting us know what we've got rather than bits and pieces here. Just try and straighten it up. These trailers are a little bit tricky to move around with. So it looks like it's all selling in one go. Okay, lost a couple of pallets, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but the money's gone up quite well. 20,100 there, and another 100 there, so 20,200. Pretty good going for just a very little job where you don't really have to do anything with it. Good bit of income. So we'll go and drop this trailer back up at the place we just came from, our grass field, and we can leave that there because next thing to be sold on the trailer is probably going to be the honey, but I don't think that's for a couple more days yet, so we'll just leave the trailer up there anyway, ready for loading, and then we will drive the telehandler back over to the cow farm where we'll give them a feed and make sure that everything's topped up for them, make sure they're all good, and then we'll see what other little jobs that we have to do for the day. But this telehandler does struggle a little bit carrying this trailer up the hills. I mean, we're empty at the moment, lucky we don't have a load on. So like I said, we're going to build the clothing factory or the tailor shop up here on this farm. That still leaves us enough room up here to mow, to make hay. I make silage on the field down with the cows, and I use this little one to make hay because we don't really need a lot of hay, and silage is a main income as well for us. But the clothing is going to be the new main source of income. So instead of making silage to sell, we will still make a lot of silage, I suppose, but we will keep the majority of it and just sell bits and pieces at a time, because the clothing is worth about 10,000 per pallet. So if we get all of this stuff here made up, what have we got there? 3, 6, 8 pallets there, so that'll make 4 pallets of clothing, which will be 40,000, so that's pretty good income. Alright, here we are, we're down at the farm for the cows. So straight away we'll just grab ourselves one of our silage bales for the feed mix. I think the feed mixer is where it should be, right next to the animal feeding trough. It's tend to be where I'm keeping it. Yep, it's right there. So we can just throw this full bale straight into the mix. It's normally how I do it. There's a full silage bale and then I just work out the rest of it with the hay and the straw. So first of all, let's turn the tractor on and get this mixer fired up. We can just leave that turned on, and we better open up the doors so we can get the bales, hay bales and straw bales. Now the hay bales are slightly larger than silage bales, so we just need to work out what it is that we're going to be putting in. So I normally put in around about half. So 9,000 litre bale, I normally go till it gets to about 5,000-ish. Got to make sure that there's a bit of room for the straw to go in. And it's not the biggest feed mixer in the world, so we can't just chuck 2 whole bales in, and then, because we won't have any room for straw, and that won't make total mixed ration, so we'll leave 5,000-ish there left in that hay bale. And we'll use this again because looks like we're going to have to make more than one feed. And we'll grab this straw. This hump in the way of our door is really a pain. I didn't level the land here before I built this cow barn, and as you can see, it causes big problems when trying to grab stuff out of this room here. So that's not really that good. But I don't want to demolish the building and start again, because we probably could remove that, but it would just be a big expense. Maybe we'll fix it one day, but it won't be today. So there we go, we have one full mix, total mixed ration. So we can put this into their trough. That'll keep them happy at least for today, but we're going to need to make another mix just so that they're not hungry again tomorrow and we don't have to do the same thing. So this should be enough to keep them going. Alright, so that should be them happy enough. Let's get another mix on and then we can forget about feeding them for another day or two. It's months in game, but a couple of days for me. So I'll put the rest of that straw bale in, and then we'll go with the same kind of ratio as before, one full silage bale, and we'll use the last of that hay bale if it will fit, and then we might just need to top it up with a little bit more straw. Looks like we're running low on silage for the cows. Do have some on the trailer over there, but that's mainly to be sold, and I'd say we'll have enough to get us through until the next time we can cut the grass, which is all good. So yeah, after we start producing the clothing, we'll be keeping a lot more silage on site rather than selling, because we won't be struggling for money at all now, and that's going to really benefit us, because we're going to want to buy new fields, new productions. I want to get the carpentry production going, and I'd like to get into the bakery, and then eventually we're going to want to get a grapevine. Grapevines are very expensive though to create and also to maintain, and yeah, they're very expensive. The machinery involved is not cheap, and neither is the grapevines. So we will produce grapes and grape juice and raisins, and then once we get to that stage we can start thinking about purchasing a bakery so that we can make cereals and cakes and whatever. I haven't really worked out which production chains we need to get to do all of that, but we'll just do it as we go. So we'll let that feed mix just empty out, and we're going to need to grab a couple of straw bales because they're running low on straw as well. So we'll just make sure we top them up, and then we don't have to deal to the cows for a little while. And the straw bales, what we get from our wheat field is pretty much the exact amount what we need for a year. We probably get just a little bit more than we need, but that's not a bad thing. Okay, so that's all emptied out. So we'll park this up around the corner, and then we'll hook up to the straw bale shredder, fire in some more straw, and they should be all good. The manure pile's stocking up quite nicely over there. We'll have to invest in a manure spreader as well. That way we won't have to pay for any fertilizing. So we'll just launch that into there. There's a nice bit of bedding for the cows. But yeah, the farm is coming along quite nicely right now. I'm pretty happy with the way it's going. And once we get this clothing factory all sorted out today, it is going to be really the turning point for the save. No more struggling. We just have to wait until we actually produce some clothes that we can sell, and then we are going to be guaranteed every year to either be purchasing a new field or a new production, or both, depending on how much clothing we can make. May need to invest in more sheep to guarantee that, or even cotton. Not really that keen on cotton though, because it is a bit of a mission and expensive to harvest. The harvesters for cotton are not cheap. Okay, so we will park up the telehandler just in here. It's more or less done with for a little while. Finish up the feed and the straw, and then we'll see where we're at. Probably, I think milk is good at this time of year to sell. I have to double check that in a second though. Just turn that off, close these doors up. I like to leave the yard nice and tidy if we can. And let's go and this hill, ridiculous. Really should have sorted myself out with the landscaping tool there before doing this, but it's in now, and it was an expensive thing to put in, so just have to deal with it. And it's not really that big of an issue, we can work around it, but it's just not really ideal. So this should be leaving them absolutely full of straw, and if it's not really a big deal for us to have to top it up again next time we do a feed, but this should be more than enough. I think that feed should easily take them through until March. Hopefully the straw will do the same. So let's just take a look. Used machinery, haven't checked that today. Auger wagon, I've never used one of those. Slurry tanker, well, we have a slurry spreader, and this isn't really a very cheap piece of kit, so I don't think I'm going to be investing in one of those. Let's take a look at the price. Milk is a relatively good price. Maximum price 760, and the price today is 740, and we've got 18,000 litres, so I think we might as well go with that, and we'll make a bit of money. So yeah, it says February is a good price and October, but today is also a pretty reasonable price. So I think that's going to guarantee us another 20 odd thousand, maybe a bit more. So we'll hook up to that, we'll get a few loads down there to the dairy, which we should purchase that as well at some point, seeing as we're just producing milk and selling it to them. We might as well be using it for ourselves. But 18,000 litres, so it's going to be 2.5 loads down to the dairy to sell. Not going to be bad going. We'll get a little bit of cash out of that. Now I'm going to send this up to the fabric production. Excuse me. Just so that when we come back from selling all the milk, this machine's already up here ready for us, and that we should have enough money by that point to build a tailor shop, and then that way we can use a telehandler to move those pallets of fabric across, and we can get that production happening straight away, because we were going to, I don't know when the best time to sell clothes is, but we will need that to be happening ASAP. Well, there we go, second load down. I think we'll leave it at 2 loads today. We don't want to be carting down a couple of thousand litres. We'll just wait until we've got enough for a full load. So there's another nearly 6,000, so we've got more than 100,000 in the bank now. It's going to be well worth it for us to purchase that clothing factory now. We've got a little bit of cash. Hopefully we've got a little bit of change after. Okay, so I'm just going to send this tractor back to our farm. We don't want him delivering, we just want him to go to this grass field here for me. Start that job, and we can jump into the telehandler which has been delivered for us, and we can start thinking about where we're going to put this other factory. So I reckon right opposite the one that we've already got down. So we don't want to park too close to where we want to be putting this. So into the menus, construction, production, and factories, and then we were looking for the tailor shop right there. So 100,000 So it's not going to leave us with much change. Hopefully we don't have a big expense to pay for. What are we thinking here? A little bit back down there maybe. It's a little bit, it rolls off a little bit where the telehandler is, so we don't want to go too far. But I think this whole area, which has been, I think we painted this brown, so it looks pretty good there. Yeah, just before it rolls off, so that's perfect. A little bit lumpy and bumpy around here, but it's okay. So let's put all these pallets into the input area. We can get this production fired up. So yeah, we got 8,000 litres of fabric, and the ratio is 2 fabric to 1 clothing. So that means 4,000 litres of clothing. Just over 10 grand a pop for one pallet. So we should be looking pretty comfortable. And hopefully the sheep are going to do a good job of keeping up with the wool. So the ratio for that is 2 wool is 1 fabric, and 2 fabric is 1 clothing. So for every 4 pallets of wool from the sheep, we get 1 pallet of clothing, which is worth 10,000. So it is definitely worth doing. But you've got to start small. So we started off by selling wool on its own, and then we went into the fabric production, and now we're going into the clothing. So we are pretty good now, but we may need to invest in a second sheep pasture. Okay, we don't want to be in looking at this. We're trying to, it must be this one here. And so we need to activate that. So they got 8,000 litres of clothing, fabric. So that's all good. And that's all from the wool. So we don't have any cotton at the moment. Don't really want to get cotton either. Yeah, so wool was worth 800 per pallet. So every 4 pallets of wool is only worth 3,200, and transferring that into clothing, it turns into 10,000. So it's definitely worth the process. It does cost a lot to get these machines, the factories I mean. So our wheat farm looks pretty good. Missed a bit of a weed here, but that's no biggie. Not going to take too much out of our yield. Got a few pallets of eggs over here as well. They're another good source of income, but like I say, if we get the bakery, then we will no longer be selling the eggs, we'll be using them to put into the production. So let's just tidy up now, put this milk tanker away, close up the farm, and then I think we just need to let everything do its thing for a couple of months. Got some silage here ready to be sold. Maybe we should get rid of that. We will if we need to, if we get any unexpected payments that we need to make, or if we find something good in the sales. It's kind of just our backup money at the moment. The old silage, always a good guarantee. So cash wise, well, we've made a bit of money over the last couple of episodes, or last couple of months. I don't do an episode for every month because some months we just don't have enough to do. There's no point making a 30-minute episode of me doing nothing. I can find jobs to do, but there's no point me doing contracts at this stage. We're making our own money now. So we've got a little bit of milk left in the tank. Honey is going to be sold tomorrow. Probably won't do that on camera. No need, because it's really the only thing that we have to do. Clothing is best in April, so we have got 3 months worth of producing clothes, and hopefully we can get at least 3 pallets. That'll be good, and then we won't be selling at any other time apart from when the price is at its best. Oils and things would be a good thing to get into. Furniture and planks, that's also another thing I want to get into. Chocolate could be a good one. Furniture's a pretty good money maker though. I think that's the logical next one for us to go for. And then eventually we'll get into the oils. But we'll need an olive grove to make olive oil, so maybe sunflower or canola oil would be the better one. Certainly the easiest one. Butter, yeah, so this is all things down at the dairy that we can produce. So we should probably get into some of these extra productions, but it's going to be the clothing that really puts us in shape to do that. But I think it's all going pretty well. The farm's certainly growing, and this is for sure a turning point in the series now. We are going to be rich in assets. Some points will be rich in money. We've got plenty of manure. Really need to invest in a manure spreader, which will help us out. But yet we are going to be pretty comfortable from here on out. I got a good feeling about that. So hopefully you liked the episode. Like and subscribe, guys, and stay tuned for more. And I'll be back soon with another episode for you.